At least 2 others ignored the orders to stand down. They were told to stand down when they heard shots fired, and they radioed, and they were informed that by the higher ups that they were hearing gunshots, and the higher ups said yes, but they were told to stand down. An hour later, they called again, and they said, we're still hearing it, and they were ordered again to stand down. Twice they were ordered to stand down. Woods and Doherty and at least 2 others ignored these orders and made their way to the consulate, which at that point was on fire. Shots were exchanged. Quick reaction force from the CIA annex evacuated those who remained at the consulate and Sean Smith, who had been killed in the initial attack. They could not find the ambassador and returned to the CIA annex about midnight. At that point, they called again for military support and help because they were taking fire at the CIA safe house or annex. The request was denied.
It's unbelievable.
Third denial with just these guys. There were no communication.
And does it say why?
Mm-mm.
There's no mention of
no,
why.
But you know what? Here's what's important. There are good people in the military that are folding now and saying, I got to get out of this, man. I don't want anything to do with these guys are bad guys that are telling us to do these things. And it's starting to crumble.
Oh, and this is what the same decision the SEALs made there, by the way.
Yes.
Bad decision. Bad people are telling us not to go in there and help these guys. We're going anyway.
Yep. The request was denied. There were no communications problems at the annex. So anybody who says, well, they didn't know what was going on, there were no communications problems at the annex, according to those present at the compound. Wow. The team was in constant radio contact with headquarters. In fact, at least one member of the team was on the roof of the annex manning a heavy machine gun when mortars were fired at the CIA compound. If I'm not mistaken, the cable that came into the White House at 11:57 p.m., the White House was first informed that it was coming under attack at 4:57. At 11:57, it talks about mortars. Let's see. The security officer had a laser on the target that was firing and repeatedly requested backup support from a Spectre gunship, which is commonly used by U.S. Special Ops to provide special operations teams on the ground in intense firefights. They were denied. The fighting at the CIA annex went on for more than 4 hours, enough time for any planes based in Sicily, 480 miles away, to arrive.
And how about the aircraft carriers in the Mediterranean? Half an hour.
Listen to this. 2 separate Tier 1 special ops forces were told to wait. Among them, Delta Force.
Wow.
Special Operations Team, or CIF, which stands for Commanders in Extremis Force, operating in Central Europe, had been moved to Italy, but they were also told to stand down. A second force that specializes in counterterrorism rescues was on hand, according to senior military and intelligence sources. According to those sources, they could have been flown to Benghazi in less than 2 hours. They were the same distance to Benghazi as those who were sent to Tripoli. Spectre gunships are commonly used by the special operations community to provide close air support. According to sources on the ground, the special operations officer on the roof of the CIA annex had visual contact and laser pointing at the Libyan mortar team that was targeting the CIA annex. Gosh. So in other words, the Spectre ship, all he had to do is laser point. All you do is you take the laser, the ship is up above, it comes, it's got the guns, you paint it, boom, hit it there.
Yep.
Nothing.
Yep.
This is an outrage. This is not America, gang. There's a lot of Monday morning quarterback going on here, said Panetta. But the basic principle is you don't deploy forces into harm's way without knowing what's going on.
I mean, we know they knew at least most of what was going on.
Well, I've got a pretty good handle on the cable.
I mean,
ask anybody who has ever been in the Situation Room. Ask anybody who's ever been around the President of the United States. Ask them. What would you be doing if this is going on? The President of the United States, the first thing, as he gets that cable, he should say, what are our options? Nobody hands the President of the United States a cable like that from the Pentagon without saying, Mr. President, we've already dispatched a team. Mm-hmm. They're working on our options. We'll have options for you in 20 minutes. That's the first thing you say, because the president would say, what are the options? What's going on and what are the options? Sir, we are dispatching a drone to be able to get live video feed. We've got sources on the ground. They are gathering the information. I've already dispatched other teams. They are looking at our options. We have people that are being moved from Europe to Italy. We have the teams being assembled right now. I will have that for you within the hour or whatever it is, 2 hours. This was 7. Anybody around the president of the United States, if I'm president of the United States and this happened and I didn't have a drone, I didn't have information, and it went on for 7 hours, I kick every single person in the State Department, in the CIA, and the Pentagon. I kick all of their ass and throw them out of the front lawn of the White House. Get your ass out of. You're telling me we spend. Hang on just a second. Let me just go get the federal budget for the Pentagon. How much have we spent on drones? How much have we spent on special forces? And you're telling me in 7 hours you can't get me the details of something where we have an ambassador sitting there and communication lines are open and you couldn't tell me what was going on? Get the hell out of my office. You're fired. That's what should have happened.
If that occurred. Of course, that can't possibly have occurred.
It didn't occur.
Yeah,
it didn't occur.
Right, it didn't.
It would require our military to be wildly incompetent.
Right, and all technology that we know exists that would not be in use. And by the way, in the last couple of days, we've spoken to a very high-level source who has confirmed that all of this is readily available in the Situation Room. All the stuff we've talked about, readily available. In use at any point, especially on September 11th.
At any point. In the last week, I have spoken to somebody who worked in great detail in the Situation Room and asked them these questions because I wanted to know. Tell me what it would be like in this situation. Tell me. You've been there. You've lived it. Tell me what it is. Without a shadow of a doubt, the President of the United States knew. If he didn't, then you've got a bigger problem. Because the president is not informed. The president has people doing things, and he's not involved, which may be a possibility, quite honestly, if you believe these, and I never did. But if you believe these people on Osama bin Laden, there were reports out there that said he didn't even make the decision. Finally, Hillary Clinton just stepped in and said, do it. Now, I don't believe that. But if the president didn't know, it means nobody's informing him. But at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, he's got Leon Panetta in the Oval Office. That's the Secretary of Defense.
And with the amount of, just speaking off from my opinion here, but with the amount of information that we've acquired in the last week or two, not only from reporting, but also from sources that we have, it's time to stop giving him this out that he didn't know. He knew. He knew. 100% he knew. It would be impossible for him not to know.
They chose not to do anything. Now, you tell me, the only one that could have authorized special forces going in is the President of the United States. The President of the United States. But that would require Leon Panetta and the Secretary of State going into the President and saying, Mr. President, people are dying right now. Please, we can go in. Launch. If he was not given that opportunity, then again, people's heads need to roll, and the president needs to be the president and say, I'm firing all of these people. But the president of the United States is the one who makes the decision, launch, send them in. He did not. If he didn't know what was going on, heads need to roll. If he did know what's going on, it's his fault. And I got news for you. There is no way conceivable. And please share this with your neighbors that are on the fence. If the president didn't know, we have a bigger problem because this guy has run a White House and a military and a State Department so out of control that no one thinks they need to report to the President of the United States when an embassy is under attack. If he claims that he didn't have any of the information that I now have redacted, sitting on my desk right now, that shows what was happening in real time, that was handed to the Secretary of State, Secretary of Defense, and the Situation Room. If he says he didn't have that information, he's either lying or you need to demand a list of the people who are fired because of it.
Glenn, stop it. Stop being so forgiving. You keep making these exceptions. Well, if he didn't know, blah, blah, blah. He did know. Oh, yeah. With the amount of information you have, you know that it's impossible for that situation to develop without him knowing about it. You know he knows it. Stop being so forgiving. You're going too far in trying to act like Mr. Fair Guy here. You're being fair because you have information that makes it impossible for this guy to have not known. He knew. Period. He knew.
Mm-hmm. He was making the calls.
What have we turned into? What have we turned into? What have we turned? We have 4 people. How can the president? I don't even understand somebody like this. You've hired that ambassador. You've hired him. That's the guy you chose. You said, Chris Stevens, you go. You go in there. The CIA guys, he didn't know. But the ambassador, he did know. You go in. The guy begs you for weeks. Please, please, something's going on. Please, they're targeting me. You don't do anything. Then when it's targeted, because maybe you're so arrogant, you say, you know what, nothing's going to happen. It's September 11th. I've got it all under control. And then when something happens and your military is there and you can do something to save the man that you pointed out and said, you go in our name, you go stand there, and then he does nothing. I don't understand it. I don't understand it. That's not America. That's not who we are. That's not the way we treat Americans. This is a voluntary system. This is something that we say, I believe in it. I want to do it. You don't just grab somebody up and throw them in a school and make them the ambassador from birth like in communist countries. These are people who are volunteering. And the president is the guy who says, we're not going to leave a single person behind. We won't leave our people behind. My gosh, what have we turned into? If we don't turn this corner, America, we will not. We will become a force, a global, terrifying force for evil. It's not just our destruction. We're talking about the destruction of our souls. You can't be this kind of a person or a country. You can't. We didn't want to look at ghost planing and everything else. You're talking about American citizens going in and saying, we're trying to do the right thing here. You imagine being the guy who had the laser pointer. And he's like, I'm not asking you to send a troop in. I'm asking you to send one robotic plane in. One. And I can take them out and I'll live and so will everybody else. I'm asking for one robotic plane. And you don't send it? What these Navy SEALs had to be thinking in their own head. What have I sacrificed for? What do we even mean? Wow. I've never seen anything like it. Today officially is the day that I no longer recognize my country.